Hello and welcome to Groundbreakers. I'm Jel Washington. The landscape project we're covering on today's episode features a pool that's too close to the house for comfort and an untamed backyard. We'll follow the entire renovation as crews transform this area into an oasis for family fun. Let's start by meeting the homeowners, Tori and Terry, and learn about their vision for the new landscape.
From the first time I saw the house, I fell in love with it. You enter the entrance foyer, and the house has lots of windows and lots of arches, and from the entrance foyer you look out into the courtyard.
Tori and Terry love their home, but one problem they have with their landscape is that a swimming pool sits right in the middle of their courtyard. Although they think a pool is great for family recreation, the pool deck is so narrow it's hazardous. In some places there's only a 1-foot margin between the pool and the walls of the courtyard. After moving into the house 2 years ago, they took drastic measures to ensure their children's safety.
That first year we took down all of the staircases so that there would be no access to that area and just put the outdoor plans on hold.
When Tori and Terry first moved in, they remodeled the inside of the house, and now they're ready to tackle the landscape, starting with the unsatisfactory pool and inaccessible courtyard.
It was a bad design and a bad location. The pool was sort of squeezed within this courtyard area, and we decided that the best thing to do would be to demolish the pool, get rid of the pool, and transform it back to a more traditional courtyard, which is what you'd normally see in a Spanish-style home.
They like the idea of using natural materials like boulders and stone to complement the stucco house and tile roof. They want the courtyard to include seating areas and a relaxing water feature as the focal point.
The courtyard allows for a few echoes, and so I think a small to medium water feature would be fine, and you'll get the reverberation of the water.
Tori and Terry have hired a landscape architect to redesign the courtyard and plan the landscape beyond. In the backyard, they'd like a pool deep enough for adults and shallow enough for children to splash around. They want to have swim parties and cookouts, so they'll need plenty of screening from nearby houses.
Privacy is real important to us. In fact, when we met with the landscape architect, we told him that was one of the primary requirements, which was to have plenty of privacy through landscaping or fencing or whatever along the back and along the sides.
Up to this point, the yard has been neglected, and they want to supplement the existing maples and oaks with flowering trees and shrubs to brighten up the landscape.
I love azaleas and camellias and a lot of the flowering bushes. I don't think Terry minds.
No,
he has no favorite except magnolias.
I love magnolias, and other than that, I just follow her lead.
We've just heard Terry and Tori's concern about the old pool and their desire to make better use of their property. Let's visit the landscape architect they've chosen to create the perfect plan for them. Looks like you're dealing with a lot of elevation changes on this site.
We really are. It's higher by the driveway, slopes down considerably across the back, and then it's higher again in the courtyard.
I'm here with landscape architect Chris Rowden, and Chris, the existing pool sits right up against the house, and that poses some real landscaping challenge. Tell us what you have planned for this site.
Well, our first thing to do is to get rid of the existing pool. We want to use that area to create a nice courtyard. Then we also want to have a nice adult entertaining area where they could have dinner, a transition area from the courtyard, to then get us into the swimming pool area, which will be a nice functional area.
Right. Let's talk some more about this courtyard, because it looks like there's a lot going on here.
It's going to be a very special space. Whenever you have a small environment like this, the opportunity is to kind of do something fun. And what we've done was to have some pathways that will carry you through the space. We used a nice water feature and some benches on either side of the water feature and some stone seating. It'll just be a nice place to go and read a book and get away and have a nice serene area.
Right. From the pool area up to the courtyard, it looks like you plan to use a lot of pavers.
There are a lot of brick pavers here, and that was intentional. We wanted this to have a nice, warm, rich feel to it, and we just couldn't get that with concrete.
Now, the pool you have planned looks like quite a departure from the one you're going to get rid of. Tell us more about this.
Well, we wanted to do away with the rectangular design, and we wanted this to be more functional for the children and the adults. So what we did was to design a pool that had a shallow end where they could actually set up a net across and play water volleyball for the kids. We wanted a deep end, but to do that you had to have a transition area, so we created this narrow neck, and it just is a design that's functioning for everyone.
Well, it looks like it's out with the old pool and in with the new design, and we'll see you later. When we return, crews will excavate the site and revamp the courtyard, so stay with us. Hello Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. Today we're covering the renovation of a family backyard. A swimming pool in disrepair ruins the view from the house and takes up most of the nearby enclosed courtyard. Behind the house, the yard is expansive, but it offers no place for entertaining and recreation. That's all going to change as landscape crews prepare to demolish the existing pool, revamp the courtyard, and begin work on a new pool for the backyard. It's the first month into construction, and workers use a jackhammer to break up the old pool deck. As the concrete turns to rubble, they use it to fill in the pool and create a subbase for the new terrace. The following week, crews remove a group of pine trees in the backyard to make way for a new swimming pool. A truck-mounted boom hoists one of the workers to the treetops. He throws a rope around the top of the tree so men on the ground can direct the tree as it falls. They feed branches into a chipper that grinds them into mulch. There are lots of dogwoods, maples, and oaks that will remain in the backyard. Landscape architect Chris Rowden chose the new pool site to take advantage of the natural tree cover.
Trees are a factor in regards to the canopy that was going to be created, the shade and sun canopy around the pool. We wanted to get enough shade and sun on the pool both at different times of the day. Certainly you want to be able to get in the sun and enjoy the sun, but at the same time you don't want to bake all day long. So we wanted to kind of nestle it in an area that would be, you get a little bit of both.
The following day, a stump grinder removes tree stumps. As the operator guides the powerful blade, he stands behind a protective shield to avoid flying debris. Meanwhile, a skid steer loader grades the backyard. The operator transports excess soil to the courtyard and fills in the old swimming pool. Workers use motorized tampers to compact the soil and make a solid base for the new terrace. Snow flurries are falling on the site, and a serpentine retaining wall is beginning to take shape behind the courtyard and terrace. General contractor David Morgan describes how the wall is built.
To ensure the stability of the wall, we'll use a material that's called GeoGrid. This is a synthetic fiber matting that we'll install between the blocks and then run it into the soil profile behind the wall at the specified length and depth, and then we'll pack the dirt on top of it as we go along.
Next, workers install a gravel wedge, which is a drain pipe covered with coarse gravel to drain off excess moisture that builds up behind the wall.
Now, to separate this gravel wedge from the existing dirt or the dirt that we're bringing in and compacting, we put in a filter fabric. This is to ensure that no silt or sediment would pass through from the compacted soil into the gravel wedge behind the wall to make sure that this won't plug up our drainage.
As work begins on a lower wall, a skid steer dumps gravel into the dugout footing and workers tamp it to make a firm base. Next, they use a mallet to level and set the interlocking modular blocks in the gravel. These man-made blocks have grooves for securing them in place and are designed to be stacked without mortar. As the wall goes up, the design calls for each additional layer of block to be set back 3/4 of an inch toward the back of the wall for added stability. A worker uses a masonry saw to cut the modular blocks, while others build a landing and stairs below the patio doors. As a precautionary measure to keep their small children away from the old pool, these doors were sealed off when the homeowners first moved into the house. The new stairs will lead down to a new courtyard that's designed to be family-friendly. A track hoe moves into place and pool excavation is underway. As the bucket begins digging out the hole, the contractor secures form boards to mark the boundaries. This pool will have a curved shape that's divided into two distinct sections. Chris Rowden talks about designing a family pool.
The primary consideration should be what is the pool going to be used for and who is it used for. In this case, we had children and adults, and it was going to be an entertainment area for both. We wanted to create play areas for the kids. We wanted to have a deep end for the adults because adults want to swim. We want to have a diving area, and we wanted to create a nice shape that would make it unique.
As the crew digs out the pool, they use the excess soil to level the area around the pool. The goal is to avoid bringing in truckloads of filled dirt and avoid hauling truckloads of dirt away. Contractors refer to this as balancing the cut and fill. By cutting into the slope on the high side, they take that cut and fill the lower side. The old pool has been demolished and construction of the new pool is underway. Coming up next, crews will dress up the courtyard with a water feature, complete the pool and terrace, and finish off the landscape with lush plantings. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. I'm Joe Washington. In case you've just joined us, we're following the landscape transformation of this courtyard and the large backyard beyond. Originally, a swimming pool took up the entire courtyard, and for safety reasons it always remained covered. The backyard was unlandscaped and unused. The original pool has now been filled in, and work continues on the new pool and gardens that will rejuvenate the 2-acre backyard. It's the beginning of the second month, and pool contractors are on the site constructing a steel reinforcing basket from rebar. They bend the steel lengths to fit the curved pool shape and wire them together. This steel basket will strengthen the concrete base that will be sprayed on later in the project. Work continues as the pool contractor installs PVC pipes. These pipes will circulate water from the pool to the pump and filter. Next, they feed flexible tubing beneath the wire basket and secure it near the top edge of the pool. With the plumbing in place, subcontractors are on hand to spray the steel basket with gunite, a concrete mixture that forms a shell for the pool. The concrete truck deposits the material into a hopper, and from there it travels through a hose to a gun rig. As one worker shoots the gunite, others shape and smooth the edges. 3 months into the project, masons build a curved wall of concrete block that will later be surfaced with brick and stone. The plan calls for a series of curved seating walls and an angular counter that will house an outdoor kitchen. Meanwhile, in the backyard, the crew installs a wrought iron fence that will enclose the pool. After digging a footing, they add quick-setting dry concrete around the post and wet the mixture down with a hose to set the concrete. Behind the house, the pool contractor installs a box that houses the fiber optic lighting equipment. The box contains a light and color wheel that transmits light to the pool through fiber optic cables. Workers dig trenches to run conduit for wiring, cables, and PVC pipes. Outside the pool area, other workers install a pump that will handle the pool circulation while the electrician wires the control panel. This panel, as well as another one inside the house, automatically controls the pool filter, pump, and heating systems. The following week, masons surface the curving courtyard walls with stone. They chip each stone individually for a perfect fit, then mortar them into place. The next day, masons apply a brick veneer to fill in gaps they left in the stone walls. Using a combination of brick and stone gives a timeless look to the walls and reinforces the Spanish architecture of the house. It's the beginning of the 4th month, and the crew begins work on the pool deck. After spreading sand on the surface, they level it with a board to establish a sub-base for paving stones. Next, they set manufactured concrete brick pavers in a random pattern and use a mallet to pound them into place. During a visit to the manufacturing plant, Dolph Bossy describes the antiquing process that gives the pavers a natural look.
Basically, we're taking finely graded aggregate and sand and cement and water. And these are computer-controlled, batched into a concrete mixer. And we mix for a set amount of time. And when we get the batch exactly the same as the previous batch, it's dumped into the concrete paver machine. And then we use vibration and pressure to stamp the product.
After the manufacturing process, the blocks go into a cylinder where they're tumbled to give them the look of naturally weathered stone. Back at the site, workers continue to lay the manufactured brick pavers. After completing a section, they sweep sand in the joints to lock them in place. Chris Rowden explains his design choices.
The hardscapes we use brick pavers to try to warm up the site instead of using cold, concrete that would be so plain. And we also use a modular retaining wall block, which interlocks. And we pick up the same colors in the block and in the pavers, so they reflect each other, so they tie together. And it just makes the job come together and seem like a comprehensive whole, as opposed to look like it was done segmentally.
Welders custom build a wrought iron fence that will surround the courtyard and pool. They use a torch to attach pickets to the railing. After sanding the hinges, they weld the gate in place to secure the area. Pool subcontractors are on location applying the finishing coat on the swimming pool. They mix round pebbles and pigmented cement in a hopper, then spray it on the pool surface. While one man sprays the aggregate finish, others smooth and shape the edges with trowels and floats. A fence installer stretches chain-link fencing around the perimeter of the yard. He attaches tension bands to the posts before anchoring the chain-link fabric. The black color coating was chosen because it won't stand out like the traditional galvanized finish. The next day, the pool contractor is on hand to make last-minute adjustments to the pool equipment as workers prepare the surrounding beds for planting. Meanwhile, painters use a pressure sprayer to apply glossy paint to the wrought iron fence. And on the terrace, the crew installs a grill in the outdoor kitchen. Next, a dump truck delivers a truckload of composted soil and planting begins. Workers place shrubs in the side yard near the driveway. Because the clay soil holds excessive moisture and has poor aeration, they add composted material to each planting hole to get them off to a good start. This will help the plants retain moisture during dry spells and improve the drainage in rainy weather. A skid steer brings heavy trees to the planting site. Chris Rowden describes the plant material they're using on this job.
We're putting in some magnolias in the background to give them a large evergreen tree as a backdrop. We're using some camellias, which will be a large evergreen shrub. It's going to get 6 to 10, 15 feet if given the opportunity. Then we're using varying shrubs in the foreground so that it doesn't look like we're just creating a wall of evergreen screen in the back.
In the courtyard, the crew stretches a liner and places boulders to build a waterfall that will flow into a catch basin. This area is secluded from the yard and makes a perfect spot for a water feature.
When we decided to move the pool into the backyard, we knew that the courtyard was going to be a great opportunity to do a water feature and kind of a serenity garden. The water feature could have been just a pond, but we wanted to actually create a waterfall that would allow water to splash into the pond, have some drops, and just create some sound. And the fact that we have the courtyard around it is just going to cause the sound of the water to reverberate back and forth off of the walls. And it'll just really make it overwhelm the space and make it a really neat place.
As the project reaches completion, the tile installer grouts the countertop for the outdoor kitchen. This area houses a barbecue grill and refrigerator for outdoor entertaining. Work is almost wrapped up, and when we return, we'll show off the finished product. We'll also talk with the landscape architect and the homeowners to see what they think of the new backyard. You don't want to miss this. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. We've been following this project for 4 months, and now it's time to show off the finished product. I'm here with Chris Rowden, landscape architect. Great to see you again, Chris.
You too, Jeff.
Chris, this is really a terrific example of saving a backyard. Tell us what this area looked like before you went to work.
Well, before we started, they had a large pool in a very small courtyard. Then you step out into the backyard, and there was really nothing to see. It was very unusable and unmaintained.
Well, quite the opposite now. Very usable yard, a beautiful yard. Show us around.
Well, starting in the house, when you look out from the windows, now you have a nice kind of courtyard, a nice serene area to look onto that you can enjoy from inside as well as outside. Going through the courtyard with a series of pathways, we get you to a patio area where they have a grilling area, a refrigerator, they can prepare food and things like that. There's also, they can entertain on tables. People can sit and dine and have dinner. And then we get into the backyard active area where the pool area would be.
Tell us more about that courtyard. There's lots of nice elements there.
The courtyard is a fun place because of the water feature. We wanted to get movement in the space, and that's what the waterfall does and the pond does. We also imply that movement by having pathways around it and kind of circling the pond, and you can envision yourself sitting on some of the curved benches or walls, and so it's a great area, and then it pulls you out and makes you want to go out into the yard, and once you're there, you venture onto the patio, and then you want to get in the pool.
I'll tell you, what I like about the hardscape is that it's not one-dimensional. There's lots of nice textures here. Describe them.
Well, we didn't want to use one material, like you said, because that would just be monotonous. So we used nice pavers for the walking surface. We wanted to use a certain material block for the walls to strengthen them to support the structures. But then we got into the seating walls and the bar area. We wanted to venture into using a little more brick and stone because that would just give us a different look and a warmer feel and tie it to the house.
Chris, we went from not much of anything in this backyard to a lot of nice plantings. What did you use?
Well, we wanted to use a lot of larger evergreen material for privacy. So what we did, we used some large magnolias in the backdrop. We also used some camellias, some fall blooming and spring blooming camellias to get some year-round color. We've used gardenia, we've used Japanese anise, some nandina for some fall color. We've used azaleas for spring color. So really kind of a mix of everything.
And now Tori and Terry have a great place to take a stroll. As a matter of fact, I think they're doing that right now. Great seeing you.
You too, thanks.
Hi, Tori. How are you?
Joe.
Terry, it's great to see you.
Good to see you again.
Wow, that courtyard, I can't believe it. Is it everything you imagined?
Everything and more. We have the pond, we have the waterfall. In the morning, it's gorgeous. That's my morning cup of coffee and my favorite book.
Quite a departure from that pool you couldn't use.
Very, very much so.
Right.
I love it.
Right. Terry, what about that pool you can use now?
Well, Joe, we had a large backyard. It's a nice space, but it wasn't usable. And it was just pretty much dirt, trees. We hadn't been able to spend any time outdoors since we moved in. So we really wanted to sort of extend the courtyard, make the backyard a livable space, get the kids outside and have some fun.
Yeah, more room than they know what to do with now, huh?
That's right.
Now, speaking of room, I got to call this an outdoor kitchen because that really is what it is. Come on.
Yeah, it's in fact, it turned out a lot larger than we initially planned, but we wanted some space for some bar stools and a nice big grill and a fridge, and we could come out and just cook and not have to run back and forth into the house. And we entertain a lot, so it's been a lot of fun.
It's so inviting. I'll bet you have people who come over and actually volunteer to cook.
To eat.
Oh, okay. That's how it works. All right. Well, we're going to take one last look at this project before and after. Tori, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
And Terry, thank you for making us a part of this.
Thank you, Joe.
And thank you for joining us again on Groundbreakers. Join us again next time as we take part in another spectacular backyard renovation. Goodbye.